thank you. Okay, I'm going to assume that other folks will come back when they do, and that Gail can hear us, even though she's there. Okay, great. Okay, great. Good to see you. Sometimes people have things on their chair that weren't there before. That's because a big wind blew in the door.
That's right.
And it threw people's things elsewhere.
Oh.
So you might be missing something. But what I'm going to do is go on now.
So I sit here.
You can sit anywhere, and we'll figure it out later. Just want to get started. Okay, so do you have any insights or questions about the exercise that you did in proposal forming?
Somewhere I heard that we're supposed to write a proposal for each aspect. That didn't make sense to us.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me either, and it's not what you do. I'm sorry about any confusion. There's just a proposal that you're gonna, an issue you're gonna address. But you might end up writing several proposals, because maybe it's so big you need step one, step two. Yeah, me too. So I apologize for any confusion. Yep, you're right, that's not how you do it. Anything else?
Just take your seat.
Oh, yes, Charlotte.
We found it very helpful to sort out how to switch from how we do things now to how we might do them in sociocracy. It was really, I think all three of us found ourselves eager to just jump in and start discussing. And so to keep ourselves to even with three people doing a go-around was a bit challenging and a little bit awkward as facilitator, but we found it really helped because you can pass and then get another turn, and gradually ideas grew and built on each other.
Did anyone else find that in your simulation exercise? That ideas grew and built on each other, that you had to shift over from how we do it now to the sociocracy method? You can do more than one aspect when you're called on. You can say pass. You can say, oh, wait, I thought of another one, because it's just brainstorming. Yeah. Great, thank you. Here's something I learned. It was not a good topic for this exercise. It's too long, it's too big, it's complex. Yeah. I need to think of something more simple. And so you help.
Yeah. Or you could just say, don't make this really long and complicated. Just make it simple.
Well, yeah, but I could.
We went into all sorts of trouble to make a long list of.
I know. I actually can lead horses to water, but I can't really get those horses to drink. I can say, don't make it complicated, but that can mean just words to somebody.
That's true.
Because, there's two things going on, I think. One is the natural tendency for anybody in any workshop to really get into the exercise, to really get into the simulation. It starts to be like improvisational theater, where you become the person, you're in the role. It's starting to get real. Yeah, but what about X? And there isn't even any X at all. It's just words on a paper. But what if that thing happened? And so that's one thing that goes on. It goes on all the time, everywhere. The other thing is, holy mackerel, this was kind of close to the truth. Maybe your group sometimes has to think about furniture. And so it might have had a charge on it for being too close to any real issues that you do or don't have or might have in the past.
This was our group, and I was, I think, emotionally scarred by our experience with the bathroom when somebody who did the bathroom and somebody else said it's so horrible that I will never go in there anymore.
Oh, no!
And
Somebody
so
said that?
I was really worried about the community. If we did something with the living room, they would just kill us.
Well, I wonder if I could slip out of sociocracy training for a minute and slip into my other role. Try and stop me. The role of teaching workshops on how to help people have healthy, thriving communities and or how to start a successful new one. I do those workshops too. Somebody who said it's really horrible, I'll never go in that bathroom again, is somebody I would suggest not listening to. Because that is a very non-emotionally healthy statement, in my opinion.
But it just hurts. I mean, it's a feeling, right?
Yeah. I know, but one way to stop feeling hurt is, and to stop suffering, let's be a Buddhist for a minute, is to realize that due to the negativity bias that humans have built into us genetically in order to withstand saber-toothed tigers and so on, we're going to probably pay more attention to that statement than, oh my God, I love the new bathroom.
Yes.
Or how do you like the bathroom? Oh, it's fine. I don't think about it. I just go in there and pee, whatever. But so I'm sorry that was hurtful, and I know just what that's like from my own experience in community when 5 people tell me, oh, I love it, and one of them says something like that. But you know what? From an outside, first time hearing it person's point of view, saying that indicates to me that that person is not doing well or wasn't at that moment, and it isn't worth considering. That is a horrible thing to say to a neighbor in a community, in my opinion.
For me, I was not even involved in that. I just read that and I was horrified.
Well, I would be too, but I would be horrified by that person's behavior and statement rather than by the bathroom. You know what I mean?
No, but I was horrified by the person's statement, and if I changed anything about aesthetics in this community, I would think I would be treated like that by someone.
And that's the harm of what that person did and got away with.
Yeah.
In my ideal world, this is me not being a sociocracy person anymore, I'm only going to do this for another 60 seconds, then I quit, I'll promise. In my ideal world, if I was queen of the universe, I'd have the community give that person feedback right away. Courteous, direct, true, authentic. Please don't ever say anything like that again. It is hurtful to the whole group. Please don't ever say anything like that again.
It takes a lot of courage.
It does, yeah. Particularly if you're feeling hurt, actually. It takes courage if you're feeling hurt.
Yeah, probably not the hurt person would be the one who says it. Probably other people would say it. But we can help other community members learn better and more courteous behavior by giving them feedback, especially if it's courteous, gentle, empathetic, and immediate. Thank you for letting me stand on the soapbox and vent, or whatever I was doing. Yes, and are we returning to sociocracy now?
It was sort of piggybacks onto what Anka said, but when we were talking about the ways to evaluate, we realized that one of the reasons that this problem came to us at all was because of people were embarrassed by the way the living room looked.
Yes, yes.
So we thought that we went back and forth. We actually called for a discussion period and consented to it, which was really fun, and then had a discussion about how to evaluate it and whether to do it in steps and all these different things. But I think we decided that because that was one of the reasons for making the changes, we would have to build that into the evaluation. So we'd have to ask, does the community find it aesthetically pleasing and comfortable? And then,
In comparison to before.
in comparison to before, and if we got feedback that no, 7 people found it really uncomfortable and not pleasing, we couldn't just send all the furniture back and get new furniture, but we would just take it as information that that didn't work the way we had hoped it would.
Well,
And it would hurt, but it's like we couldn't just not ask it because we'd be afraid of being hurt, is what I thought.
Yeah, you can't not ask for community surveys. And then you can't not do it because of fear of being hurt. But then what if you do feel hurt? Oh, that's why we have empathetic friends to listen to us and help us get in touch with our feelings and needs and la la la. But here's the thing. How many people did the survey go to? 57? Okay. 7 out of 57. It's some percent that weren't happy with it. We could let that hurt our feelings, or we could think, most people like it, fine. And here's another thing. Aesthetics, shoot, we've got to build into our expectations that some people will be horrified and furious. But I hate lime green,
Yeah.
and so on. But we can certainly do surveys ahead of time to gather data, especially with aesthetics, don't you think? Yeah. Now there's the other thing, there's comfort. And I heard some groups saying comfort for everybody, that's an adult, comfort for folks who might use wheelchairs, comfort for people who are little and short, like hobbits and children, comfort for older folks. So they were thinking through the issues. I overheard that, yeah. Okay. Any other comments, not about that dynamic in communities, but about learning the proposal forming process? Janet.
I was a minute ago when I raised my hand, I was going to seize that moment for housekeeping because we
go
were
ahead.
off topic,
Seize,
so I
seize.
apologize.
Go right ahead. She wanted to have this, and I said yes.
So I'm looking for 1 or 2 co-housers to help empty the dishwashers because I cleaned up the kitchen yesterday and everything that's in the dishwashers is from the sociocracy last 2 or 3 days. So, and I found Neil's coming. So, not a big deal, just take care. And I won't be here to do that.
Thank you for doing
And
what you did.
2 pots in one of the dishwashers is really only mine. The rest of it's everything.
And there's a sink full of dirty dishes, which I made, and I will clean in the next break, okay? If you see them, please don't feel horrified. It's just me, and I'll clean them.
And back on the, oh my God, the bathroom's horrible. Initially, when we were working on that exercise, I thought, the person's embarrassed. They should just go to therapy about whatever.
They're embarrassed by how it looks
By the
now,
living room, I wasn't totally serious, but it was back at the like, don't say things. I'm done.
Well, it always helps if I walk around to the groups and remind them it's only an exercise to get used to the steps, because people get really into it and it gets kind of real, you know what I mean? And so when you are sharing any exercises that I provide you, or that you make better, or that you come up with your own, please remember you might have to do that, because you might be in the role of study group, in-house trainer, advocate folks.
Well, I just wanted to go back to what you asked before, feedback on the process. So after, I felt it was a struggle for us. I'm speaking for myself, not for the other members of the group. And it felt like that we didn't really know what we were doing. And in the end, I was surprised that we, in my opinion, got a really goddamn good proposal together.
Has anybody else experienced that in the exercise today?
Yeah.
You did, Clara? Okay. Yeah, me too. The thing sounds rather complicated at the beginning. When the hobbits are doing what they're doing, it's a little bit easier to understand or not. Doing it is the very best way to learn it. So here's my little thought about that. Here's our friends, the ancient Chinese. And so presentations in a workshop is one thing. And little explanations and demonstrations, okay. But doing it absolutely helps it go in a kind of cellular body way. You probably know that. But then there's something to say about that. One kind of doing is doing simulations. The other kind of doing is what? Real life, live issues in the real group. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's why I'll be available to you on Skype, email, phone, or carrier pigeon to be helpful if you run into stuff. Because you might. Because real life things, I'm going to call that live issue. John Buck suggests we don't learn or practice with live issues. Each time I've heard of stories of groups that did, it seems like we had big trouble and hurt feelings and people being way pissed off at the facilitator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, anyway, life on the planet, huh? Any other comments about that practice? Does everybody promise to fill Dawn in on it? Okay. Let's do selecting people for roles, which you do know a little bit about now. It has these steps. You already know this to some degree. Maybe some of you know it better than others. Perhaps you have done it. If you've been in the community a long time, you might have been here when Jerry came down and talked about this, or came up and talked about this. And thank you, I appreciate that. And I actually covered this in our original workshop, but you know how it is, the telephone game. It might be considered differently by some folks now. So just want to review it. And hopefully if there are some misunderstandings, of which there might be, we can clear them up. So, first thing we do is we make sure that we all agree on 4 things. The term length. Let's say it's 1 year. The tasks that the person in the role will be doing. They'll be very concrete and specific. They're going to do that, they're going to do that, and they're going to do that. They're going to do that. Can you see why we need to know that first?
Of course.
Why do we need to know that first?
How could you possibly nominate someone when we had no idea what they were going to be doing?
I completely agree. Thank
Very
you.
simple.
And this one here is requirements, so that's what REQ means, to fulfill tasks. What that means is the things that the person needs to know and know how to do, say experience or skills, in order to do that. That's
Skills
how.
and traits, I call it.
Skills and traits? Yeah, that sounds like a good one. I call it requirements to fill tasks. Different other sociocracy trainers call it by different things. These two totally go together. The name of the role, bookkeeper. Task, keep the books. Here, use QuickBooks. Trained as a bookkeeper, not money adverse, somebody who knows how to do it. So you get the picture. The last one is desired characteristics. So I'm going to write that here. Desired care, or we could call it desired qualities. These are optional, not required, not needed, but it helps if the person la la, la la la. Before we go further, I'd like to tell you a tricky trick. Ready? Pay special attention to this tricky trick. What we should put in the requirements, I suggest, is has a reputation for getting along well with others and cooperating with others most of the time. You might wonder, why would you even put that in there? But you'll find out. Because we do consent to or object to the person nominated or the person that's proposed. And we might need a really good reason if the person has a reputation for conflict. One group that I know, a person with a reputation for years and years of hostility and conflict and bad behavior in meetings, nominated themselves as president of the organization.
Yikes.
Somehow that sounds right.
That person was completely unaware, all of you psychologists and folks who study human nature, that person was completely unaware of how they were perceived by others, completely unaware of what their behavior was like, because they were inside the system. So how did they know what it felt like out there, right? This is how
It's
people
like trying to see a picture with your nose pressed up to it.
or the eye to see its own self, right?
This is
Yeah.
somebody that has Asperger's.
No, lots of hostility. I think seriously and horribly traumatizes a child. And I think they are an innocent being who has not ever tried to be a hostile person, but simply cannot see or feel that's what's going on. And anyway, I know that this is basically an innocent person, but I don't want them as the president of that group, Yeah, we all are, exactly. Okay, so that's why I suggest that in requirements we put something like has a reputation. Now, we can't really put in there gets along well with others because we don't know that they do, but if they have a reputation for it, it's an indication. Do you see what I mean? See that subtle difference? I'm thinking community here. What I want is a good reason to object if we have to, if it ever comes to that. Now, it's not likely to come to that, but let's just go through the rest of the steps. I wanted to mention that early. Okay, everybody gets a piece of paper, they write their name at the top, they write who it is they nominate, and they turn it in to the facilitator. The facilitator then reads each paper and tells each person, tells the group, oh, Nancy, you nominated Jack. What do you say? Why? And asks why. Because, see that? Because, that's the why. Okay, so Nancy says, I nominated Jack for the role because Jack can do it for a year and he can do all these things and he has these requirements. Plus he has the third of all those 4 things. So we say, thank you, Nancy. We put the paper down on the table or the floor, pick up the next paper and say, okay, Susie, you nominated Jack. Would you say why? Susie could say all the same reasons. She could say ditto. She could say that Quaker phrase, Nancy speaks my mind. Or she could just say what it was, So, meanwhile, the facilitator is probably writing stuff on the papers. That's what I do, to keep track of this, right? Okay, you probably know this already, but I'll just review it. The next is the invite changes round. After we've heard the reasons. Now these reasons are arguments, not arguing, but mathematical arguments. They're strong, clear statements of reasons for the nomination. Okay? So the invite changes round is a really cool idea, in my opinion, because it allows us to change our nomination to another person based on the strength of the reasons that we heard relative to the term, tasks, requirements, and, if applicable, desired characteristics. Can we change our nomination? Yes. Do we? Yes. Does it mean we're being insulting to the person we first nominated? No. Did somebody once in England think that? Yes, but they were mistaken. They didn't want to change their nomination because it might be considered insulting. I didn't quite know how to handle that one. I said, well, that's not what it's for. Anyway, okay. Yes.
Is that something you write down, or
Something,
verbally.
which what?
The invite changes round.
Well, it's verbal.
Okay, thank you.
What you say, what the facilitator says is, okay, this is the change round. Remember, you can say, I keep my nomination, or I change it. We'll start with you, Joan, because you start with a different person each time, just like in consent decision making. And then we go around, facilitator includes themselves, and we end up with the person right next to where we started. Just like what you know already, okay? And then John Buck never wanted to put optional discussion in here, but various other sociocracy trainers suggested it, but he will now tell us, please don't ever do that. And I will skip over this for the moment and come back to it. The next step is the consent round. What? We don't have each person talk